Good morning. Let's see. A little chilly. Okay. I forgot I had this paper here to show from last night's art stream. Not art stream, but horror stream. I mean, I'm tired, coach. Dum, 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 dum. I don't know what I want to eat today. Tomorrow I know what I'm making, but today I'm just like, I don't know. It's weird. It's like black smudge down there. First I thought it was like something on my monitor, but nope, that's the software itself. So it'll fix itself whenever I whatchamacallit, restart the software. So I'm not too worried. foot. Let's go next. Or Xavier. Just a lot of practice, a lot of work. Doing the same thing over and over again. Definition of insanity, pretty much. You just gotta keep doing it in parts over and over again until you get it, you know? Start off small. Like even now I'm still learning as I go, you know? There's still a lot that I need to learn myself. So I just practice and repetition. Find a tutorial that you like, watch it. In my case, I watched a lot of Danny Mac 3D, and he has like a 8-part tutorial that he has on making a character. And what I did was I watched for week 1, I just watched part 1 of the videos, and I just kept doing part 1 all week. And then when week 2 came around, I did part 1 and 2 all week. And then week 3, I did part 1, 2, and 3 all week. And I just kept doing that process from beginning, from scratch, over and over again until I was on week 8. And that's all it really took. And then you'll get it eventually. And this was in this is a tutorial in Blender. So I did his tutorial in Blender, and then I moved over to Zbrush, and it was pretty much the same process, just a little different button presses, of course, but the general process is exactly the same. Yeah, so it's pretty much the same. Like the process that I'm doing right now for all this was literally the process that I learned in Blender. And then I just took everything I learned from Blender and moved it over to ZBrush. Because if you can sculpt in one program, you can sculpt in the others. So you'll be fine. Especially seeing that I learned all this in Blender before I moved over to ZBrush, so you'll be fine, you know? There's a lot of Blender tutorials out there too, so I think you'll be in good hands. Yep. No matter what software you use, just practice. Find a tutorials that you like. Follow that for a little while, and then eventually venture off and start making your own things. Don't rely on tutorials too much. Like, just learn tutorials to get like the basics down and stuff like that, and just get like the software down. And then tutorials on like, you know, making your own character or whatnot. But after that, you pretty much just start making your own stuff. And if you get stuck, then I'll look up like a quick little, how do I do XYZ, just so I can get past that hurdle, you know? But practice makes perfect. And always just feel free to ask if you get stuck on anything. I don't really know too much about Blender anymore because it's been over a year since I've used it. I got a gist. Pretty much. I am making a quick little ear here. There's some things I have to adjust, of course, but and also just trust the process. Things will look weird at first, but if you just trust the process, it'll work out, you know? I've learned if things look a little weird sometimes, just how do you do that in Blender? Yeah, it's been forever. I know you can do it. Huh. Yeah, that's one of those things that you just Google. If I ever get stuck, I'll be like, I'll just go to Google and then I'll type in Blender sculpt mode combine objects. There you go. Combine objects with Control J if not already joined. Then in sculpt mode, press Shift R and Control R to perform a remesh. Control J. Yeah. And then boom, that's pretty much how I do it. If I get stuck, like what you just did, you just got stuck. So I just go to Google, I type in my question, and then boom, it pops up. And then I continue on from there until I get stuck again. And then I'll just click Google, and then boom, Google is your friend. Oh, nice. Thank you. I know I don't really do too many tutorials. It's more like speed sculpts, but sure we'll get there one day. I've learned more from the reason why I do more speed sculpts than like tutorials and stuff like that is because whenever I was learning how to do stuff too, I feel like I learned a lot more from doing speed sculpts, from watching speed sculpts than tutorials themselves sometimes. Like I'll just watch a bunch of people sculpting stuff and I'm like, oh, they did XYZ to make this, and I'll put it like in slow mode. If I see something that I'm like, wow, how did they do that, I'll rewind it and then I'll slow the video down and try to watch what they're doing. And then I'll try to apply it to my future stuff, you know? sometimes the tutorial doesn't cover everything that you're looking for, but watching someone make something from scratch through a speed sculpt can answer a lot of your questions, I've learned. Like right there. Yeah, much appreciated. Hope you enjoy the videos. I'll be releasing more very soon. I'm editing up the Psylocke video of the recent project that I just finished. So that one probably be up in like a week or two, to be honest. So I gotta edit some other stuff too. It's all just speed sculpts. Doing a little experiment here. Unfortunately, won't be doing a full body today. Mostly just focused on looking for a specific style that I would want when it comes to faces. I'm always trying to figure out a way to a face that's more appealing from me anyway, that I enjoy. I think I'm kind of getting close to it, so that's why right now I'm kind of just working on more focused on the face than anything else. That's why I cut off most of the torso. See, I'm kind of more focused on trying to hit a certain look. And how's it going, Mary? How's it going, Connor? No. I do more of a stylized. I prefer stylized. I've done stuff like that, but that was for like school and studies and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm more into doing like stylized for 3D figure printing. So I'm not really trying to make lifelike. Have I done it before? Yes. Will I ever do it again? Probably not. Whenever you're starting out, it's always great to start with real people, of course, because you got to learn the rules before you can break them, you know? How's it going? Welcome on in, Connor. Fuck, I should have. Okay. I'm gonna delete this. Go back to the beginning here. Solo. Control F, well, Shift F. This makes it 10 times easier for doing this. Now, duplicate. Live Boolean. Oh, nice. What I do is more of sculpting, but 3D modeling, I would recommend like Blender tutorials and stuff like that, because I do mostly just sculpting. I only do like minor modeling, and that's using the Z modeler tool, and that's for like certain things, you know. I can definitely answer most questions when it comes to modeling, but Not all of them, because that was actually the first thing that I learned before I got into sculpting characters. I wanted to be a 3D environment artist, so I used to just like model objects in my room and stuff. That's one of the biggest things if you want to be a environment artist or just a 3D artist in general. I recommend just trying to make stuff that's in your room that you can actually touch and look around and stuff. So you could be like, oh, I got this case here, I'm gonna model this case, you know, and then go from there. Just make stuff around your room. Make your room. And you'll learn so much from just doing that. 3D modeling, you're more of doing like a box modeling. You're extruding, extracting, and you're messing around with the points like that. Sculpting is more of like you're actually sculpting, like you're like adding and subtracting and scraping, whatnot, you know, sharpening and everything. Think of sculpting like obviously, like whenever you watch someone clay sculpt, that's sculpting. And 3D modeling, think of it like whenever you're making a Lego or some sort, where you're like putting pieces together. You're not really extruding, but you're like placing pieces together to make the shape that you want. I think that's like so like this, you'll be looking more at the poly group, like the polygons and everything like that. And let's see, I'll make a quick little cube here. So right now we have like a cube. This is what you're mainly going to be kind of looking at whenever you're like whenever you're doing 3D modeling. And then you'll get like the object that you want to make, and then you'll take a point and you'll mostly just like extrude and make what you want to make from stuff like that. You extrude, you'll bevel, you'll make new edges so that we can do stuff like that. And that's when you'll pretty much poly modeling is like 3D modeling is great for making like hard surfaces and stuff and low poly characters. And sculpting is for like high poly stuff. It's for making like a lot of organic things and adding details to a lot of your stuff. Most of the pipeline, you'll start out like 3D modeling like this, and then you'll bring it into a sculpting software, and then you'll make all the details and everything, and then you'll take your low poly and your high poly and you'll combine them together through baking. And that's how they make games. That's why you can look at a character and it like look really close to the character, they look flat, but when you zoom out you see all the like the edges and the grooves and the bumps and stuff like that. All that stuff is baked into the model to keep the computer from like, you know, lagging and slowing down and all that other good stuff. But yeah, this is, you'll be messing with like squares. Yeah, you could. A lot of movies and stuff like that, they usually sculpt out their characters too. But the thing is, if you look at this model here that I made, it's at like 68 total point count, which is like, you know, computer can run this smooth, fine, great, you know. But now this one's at 44, so this is like at 44 points. Now if you go over to something like this, now we're starting to get like at 8,000. You see how heavy this is compared to this? The more polys you have, the heavier it is. The heavier it is, the more processing power it's going to take away from the computer. Yeah, I said baked. Getting baked. And I'll show like a quick little example here. So sculpting, it's like, okay, we're doing a quick little sculpt here. This is a good example that I can use since I'm still working on this. Right now I'm making an eye, so I bring this in. Okay, so boom. This is gonna be my eye for now. What I'll do is I'll boolean this. All right. So this is what it looks like right now. And then let's see, I'm gonna keep groups. It's not too heavy, but there's poles here. And you can see these tries right here. That's not good. But this is heavy. See how heavy this is? They're not really tries or anything. It's not really uniformed. It's kind of like just all over the place. And then I can get it to be heavier. And it's like, yeah, the high has tons of polygons, like you see now. And we don't really want that. If I was to have a bunch of stuff high like this, where it has 175,000 points, your computer's gonna get slow. It's gonna get sluggish. You're gonna be having like extremely long waiting times and loading times and all that stuff. So what you do is we take this that's high, and then you'll basically retopologize. Usually it's done manually, but since I'm just sculpting and it's not for a game, I don't really care too much about the topology too much. So I'm gonna bring this down. I think I'm gonna come down to like a 0.5, whatever. And I'm gonna keep groups. And we're just gonna, oh, there's one thing I forgot to do. There we go. Just like that. So right now it's bringing the count down. See how it's taking forever to load in. There we go. And it gives me something like this. This is low poly. This would be great for like, you know, the game, whatever. And then I smooth it out, and you can tell I don't really have the details in here anymore. I lost a lot of the details. That's when you project or bake the high details. In this case, I'm projecting, but in most cases, you'll take the high and the low, and you'll bake the details into the low. See? Now it has the details of the high, but it's like this now. So now we have a low here and a high with the details in there. And this would be good for like a game or whatever. It has all the details of the high that I made while it's low. That's just like a quick little example here. You see a difference between something like this? Yeah, pretty much. It's like putting a little illusion over it. I went from this is extremely heavy at 175,000 points, all the way to this, which is at 41,000. 647, but I was multiplying it a little bit, but I'm able to keep the detail. And that's pretty much high and low. Pretty much. A lot of AAA games, they bake the high poly into the low poly. That's how you like optimize it. A good example of like a poorly optimized, the original Final Fantasy 14, they didn't really have it too optimized, so it was like one point everything's running smooth, and then you walk into like a building or something like that and there's no one in there, but all of a sudden your game gets all laggy and stuff. It was because maybe there's a plant in the corner that wasn't properly retopologized or anything like that, so the poly count's probably extremely high, and you got a bunch of these plants all over the place, so it's causing the computer to like get sluggish. But yeah, the normal pipeline is making a low poly and a high poly. Normally they start from the low to the high, but you can also go from the high to low. As long as you have both a high and a low, you're good. Doesn't matter which direction you go in, just as long as you have a high and a low, then you can combine those. You can combine the high into the low to project the details on there, and that's when you can animate and stuff like that. Because if you're trying to animate a high poly, it's gonna cause like a lot of lag. It's gonna make the computer sluggish and everything. So it's easier to animate a low poly than it is a high poly. And you can really tell if you like go into a game, just any game that you want, go into a game and go look at like a game that lets you like really zoom in on stuff, especially like remotes. If there's ever a remote in a game, if you zoom in on that remote, you're gonna notice that remote's actually flat. It looks like it has buttons and all that stuff, but that's just the detail projected on, or a texture map to make it look like it has that detail on there. That way, because there's no point of having each and every single individual button modeled out on a remote that's only going to be in the game for like 2 seconds. My opinion on Blender, I don't mind it. I like it. I think it's one of the best alternatives to 3D modeling than the software that's available now. Like, would you rather spend $200 to $500 a month on a subscription software, or use a free software that can do everything that you want to do anyway? If you're like a hobbyist or anything like that, Blender is great, you know? If you're working like in a studio or something, you're most likely gonna have to use the like Maya and Zbrush and stuff like that. But at that point, you're not really paying for it. It's them that's paying for it, and you're just using their copy. But if you're just like someone that's learning and everything like that, Blender's great. It does everything you need it to do. It models, it sculpts, it animates. So for what it is, it's great. I have no bad opinions about it. I used to use Blender all the time at one point. I only stopped using Blender because I wanted to really focus on learning ZBrush. And I have a perpetual license of ZBrush, because ZBrush is subscription based, but I had a license before they turned into subscription, so I'm still using an old perpetual license, which is dated back in 2022. Yeah, for the most part, the license isn't really available anymore. Yeah, it's all subscription based now. there are ways to obviously get it, I'm sure. Like there might be a website that's still selling the old perpetual license somewhere that you can get it from there, because I've seen people talk about that, but I haven't really had a need to do it because I already have a copy, you know. But even then, the perpetual license is like $400, $600, $900, something like that. Which is still really good if you think about it, because it's like you have a perpetual license, so you're paying for it once compared to paying monthly for something that'll eventually outdo the original price, you know. Oh, nice. Yeah, I can see that. I can see someone definitely getting bored of the same, of using a lot of the free assets, especially if you're looking for like something specific. Then it can get pretty difficult, you know. So I can see where you're getting at. There's a lot of people that kind of do their own thing like that too. Yeah, but also there's none. You can make your game have its own identity even with the assets, because what a lot of people do, even in the professional world, is they get a free asset and they just take that asset into like Zbrush or Blender and then they make it their own, you know, which is pretty much a base mesh. The concept of using base meshes, it's taken a pre-made body or object or whatever and then making it your own, which is something that is used very commonly in the 3D world. So you can find like a generic human body or whatever and then mess around with that to make it how you want it to be made. A lot of games reuse assets. They just reuse them by using them as base meshes and making them their own. So there's nothing wrong with that. should have made it thinner. Yeah, I need to make it thinner. Trying to do something here. Yep, exactly. So don't feel like you personally, no. I've worked on a game before, but that was for a class. So some of my stuff has been used, but I personally am not really much of a rigger animator. I think that should be fine. It just wasn't something that really it wasn't something that like stuck out for me. And thank you. Textures, not really. At the end of the day, to get the textures, it's more reliant on the on your UV maps, and that's where the texturing gets challenging. If you have bad UV maps and everything like that, then you're gonna have a hard time. Like texturing is gonna be really rough. But if you have a really good UV mapping, anything like that, you'll be fine. That's where it'll get difficult. UV maps, the easiest way to think about it is, let's see. I was trying to see if I had a box around here, but think about like a cardboard box. You know how the box is when it's, no, you're fine. You know how a cardboard box, you put stuff in a box or whatever, boxes are 3-dimensional, you're able to like look around all 4 sides and stuff. Now imagine that box but flattened, where you can see all the sides but it's like laid out flat. That's pretty much a UV map. You take the 3D object and then you flatten it out, so that way it can then you can put the textures on top of that. So it'll be like, we have this box here. Yeah, yeah. And when you flatten out the box, it'll be like something, just doing a little quick. So I know. Boom, now the box is flat. So it'll be like this, where you have your 3D box here that you're able to turn around. And then when you UV map it, it'll be flat like this. Where you have the sides. So you have the bottom here, the side, the side, the side, side, and the top all flattened out. And then you're able to put your textures on here, do whatever you want, paint it, all the other good stuff. And then when it's put back into its 3D form, all the textures will be applied. So, yep, they do it through UV mapping. You're basically going to take an object and then you're gonna flatten it by using seams, which is pretty much like you'll take the edge. This is when the low poly comes in handy, because you have to make a seam along the edge of the object, so that way it can be flattened. And if you don't have a low poly, it's gonna be hard to flatten it because your polygons are gonna be everywhere. Not necessarily. The thing is, a lot of software like Substance Painter and stuff like that, it will it'll allow you to apply the textures on it in the 3D form, but also the flat form too. Like you're able to see both. You can set it up to see both, so that way you're able to like just paint over the normal object, and then you can correct it or do your painting on a flat surface too if you wanted to. And a lot of people just they get the mapping and they get the textures, and then they get the UV map, and then they bring it in its 3D form, and they just paint it, and they do whatever they want with it. And then over on the UV map, it's being painted in real time as you're doing it. And then you can take that map and you can take that map and bring it into your game or whatever and apply it to your object. How's it going? Welcome on in. We're just vibing, talking about UVs. Years of school. So I went to school. I got a bachelor's in game art and design, and in that school they teach you like the full pipeline on making video games. And then while you're going through that school, it's kind of like your job to pick something that you really are into and then focus on that. In my case, I focused more on characters and stuff like that. And this was like in my senior year, so I didn't really get the full bachelor's working on just characters. It was something that I kind of just figured out I wanted to do in my senior year. And then I just focused on characters from there. But they teach you like sound design and 2D, 3D, everything that you'll need to, animation, rigging, coding. So I know how to use like at a basic level. Like I'm not like some professional. I could just go out and start making like whole ass AAA games of myself, whatever. They like teach you the basics of a software, and then it's your job to dig deeper into that, you know? Figure out what you like, because majority of the time it's like you kind of want to be a jack of all trades, but you still want to master at least one, so that way you know the pipeline. So if you're like the 3D modeler, you know what the animator and stuff like that wants, because you know how they work, which makes their job easier because they don't have to like get your model and then be like, what the fuck? And then they're like, hey, can you fix this, this, and this? And then they send it back to you, and you gotta fix all that stuff. When you know the full pipeline, you know what they're gonna be kind of looking for, so you'll have less things to fix, you know? Oh, you're into character modeling? Nice. And you're doing programming? What software are you using for the simulation and stuff? What was I doing? Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I already delete that. Cool. No, I don't do any of that. Since I don't make stuff for games, I mostly just do things for like 3D printing. There's a lot of the pipeline that I don't have to really use. I do what I need to get to the end of my own pipeline in a way, if that makes sense. Like I do things for 3D printing, and for 3D printing you don't need like UVs or anything like that. It's mostly just sculpting, decimating it so that way you can bring it into a software and not blow it up, and then printing from there. So I don't have to worry about like retopology and rigging and animating and UV unwrapping and all that stuff. It's mostly just model. Well, it's mostly sculpt, decimate, slice, print, you know? Just a little bit more freedom to it. Yes and no. I originally did want to work on games and stuff, but getting into a lot of studios can be extremely rough, you know? So you got to find something to do in the meantime. That's gonna be a pain. If I don't do keep edges. Yeah, you definitely do want to have a portfolio. My portfolios hasn't been updated in years because I kind of like lost interest in making games, especially the way that the everything kind of like works in the game industry. I'd rather have the I'd rather make 3D prints and do my own thing and try to sell that, make my own like collectibles and figures and everything like that, and like, you know, do my own kind of business sort of, than to work under another business that's known for letting people go on a daily basis, you know? It's like you fight tooth and nail to get in the industry. You make a game or whatever, and then they let everyone go, and then you're back on the streets again. And what makes it worse is sometimes a lot of your stuff is going to be like under NDA, so you can't even you've been so busy working on this job, you haven't been working on your portfolio because, you know, you've been working this job, you're doing late hours, whatever, because, you know, game industry, there's a lot of crunch. So then they let you go. You still have your portfolio from like 2 or 3 years ago, but at least in your resume it says, hey, I worked at the studio for X amount of years, so that's really nice. But your portfolio is still kind of old, so now you have to go and update your portfolio of newer stuff that's not under NDA, just to get a job, just to fight for another job at in a studio, just to make another game, and then they let you go down the road. I don't know if I'm mentally ready or prepared to be let go continuously and always looking for a job. It really is. But it's not all like downhill or anything like that. I'm just like, you know, it has like all of its ups and downs, and like any other job. A lot of the game jobs and tech jobs are like that, where you're gonna be in and out of a job a lot. You never know when you're gonna be let go. Okay, that'll do. I'm making polygroups, so that way I can only select the spots that I want, which will make things sometimes easier for whenever I do this. Toy plastic, and turn this to white. This is the equivalent of texturing. What I'm doing is I'm poly painting, where it's applying the paint to all the polys. The higher the poly, the more detailed the paint is. Poly paint is very powerful in like high poly stuff. And it's the equivalent of what it would probably look like when it's printed, you know, that you can paint it and everything like that without having UVs or any of that stuff. Yes and no. Because a lot of the you'll think that, but if you think about it, Riot, you know, the one that made like League of Legends and stuff like that, they let go like a lot of their people, but they're continuously making skins and new characters and stuff like that, but they're still letting go people. On call, like you have to be there within a certain, when they call you, you have to be at work immediately. I don't think they do that. No, I don't think they do that if you're like a freelance, because they do have freelancers every now and then where they get someone to make something for them real quick, but that's just like, you know, commission and freelance work. But as for if you're working at the studio, you're gonna be there Monday through Friday from like, you know, 6 a.m. 6 to 5 or whatever. So they're not gonna really hit you up on your day off to be like, hey, can you make this for us? I doubt it's like that, you know, especially if it's like a Sunday and you're gonna be back on a Monday anyway, or it's a Saturday and you're gonna be back on a Monday. I doubt that they're going to call you up on an off day to come into work. Now, would I know exactly? No, I've never worked in the industry, so I couldn't tell you exactly if that's a thing, if it happens. So okay. Zbrush is exclusively made for sculpting, so it can handle a lot more higher stuff compared to Blender, which is like a jack of all trades, master of none sort of. This is like a master of one. As in, like if I was to use Blender, a lot of people use Blender to 3D model and render and all that stuff. But if they usually want to sculpt something, like really just focus on sculpting or whatever, then they'll probably just use ZBrush. Not saying you can't sculpt in Blender, but there's definitely more things you have to do. You have more freedom, it feels like, whenever you're sculpting in ZBrush. There's less stuff to worry about. It can handle it. Oh, there's a lot of stuff in ZBrush that you can't really use in Blender, but Blender's slowly getting the ability to do a lot of things. Because if you look at the if you go into the sculpt mode on Blender and you look at all the brushes that they have available, I think it's like what, 20 brushes or something like that. And then if you go into like ZBrush and I hit B, these are all the brushes I have available to me. Like it's, and this is only the ones that came in default, and a couple that I've added myself. You can make your own brushes. Like I've made a cutter key brush, so that way I can slice my stuff for 3D printing. It has like a variety of brushes that you can make. Some that come default with the software. Each has its own advantage. Like Blender is great for, like, you know, 3D modeling. A lot of people don't 3D model in ZBrush because using the Z modeler tool is a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna lie, it's painful. It's difficult to use in a way, but it's manageable. There's some people that, you know, they love it, and there's other people, the majority of people hate the Z modeler tool. Me, I'm like, maybe I just hate it because I don't fully grasp it, but we'll see once I learn it, you know. But why put yourself through that when you can just open up Blender and 3D model everything you want seamlessly and effortlessly? And then ZBrush is great for, like, you know, sculpting. What I'm doing right now, I'm just applying clay to an object and I'm making what I want. I like sculpting because I just feel like I have a little bit more freedom to make what I want to make, so I can just move things around. I don't have to worry about the tries or the quads or anything like that. I just kind of do what I want. I just do what I want. You can tell because I'm not switching in between here to look at the polys. I'm just sculpting away. You like that? We like the freedom of just sculpting away. It's like playing around with clay without actual clay. That's what I like. I used to be caught in that loop of the which one's better, Blender or ZBrush sort of when I was initially starting out, because I had, you know, I had ZBrush, but I was like, I didn't feel like I was really improving too much in a way, so I thought maybe it was the software I was using or something, you know. I was like, which one's better for me as an artist, Blender or ZBrush? And you just got to remember that at the end of the day, it's a tool and it's still based on you yourself and how you use it. Don't get caught in the which one's better. Just figure out what you want, what you're trying to do, and then stick with that software and do it, you know, and develop the skills to use it or do it. Do what you're trying to do. In my case, I knew that I like sculpting a lot more. I did try out Blender for a while, but I ended up liking ZBrush more for sculpting. So I knew my focus was mainly on just sculpting. I wasn't really worried about modeling or anything like that. I just wanted to make cool characters. And in the process, I just came to the conclusion that ZBrush is more for me. It has everything that I need. And then some. I'm still like on the like low end. I haven't really updated the. So you want to start low when you're sculpting. You start out low, you push it as far as you can, and then you raise up the poly count. Right now I'm still working at 96. I usually, me personally, I like to go in like 3 different splits. There's the 96, and then I go to like 150, 170 ish, and then I go to like 300, and I don't go over 300 really. I found that I don't really need to go over 300, and then once I hit that 300 point, that's when I'm like really getting into the detail of it, and then I'll Z-remesh it to bring the poly count back down. What I did with the eye when I showed that example with the eye, and that's when I usually paint it and all that other stuff too, and just makes it easier to manage. No, don't want to do that. Not yet anyway. For this, nothing really. I don't really have anything in mind. I'm just experimenting. There's a so end of the day, I'm still kind of looking for my art style that I like to use, and I think I kind of have an idea of how I want to make my noses in the future and stuff like that. I'm just kind of experimenting around because I'm still in that phase where I'm still trying to figure out my own like art style in a way. And I know a lot of my inspirations from like, you know, looking at stylized stuff and also kind of like the anime look, but I don't want the entire anime look. I still kind of want it more stylized, so it's a mixture between like anime and stylized in a way, where the nose is still kind of like pointed, but it's not like just straight point. And I really started to figure out where I wanted my my noses recently for the last 2 projects that I did. I kind of like the nose kind of like this more than anything else, to be honest. So yeah, I can see that too. It's not like fully anime, like it's not a full, because I don't really like the anime head entirely a lot of the times, so kind of experimenting because I'm not really working on my next project just yet, so I'm kind of just practicing for now. The next project will be starting in February. There's another 3D artist on you can find him on YouTube now because he can't stream on Twitch anymore because they banned him. Doing 3D art on Twitch, they get kind of strict sometimes, and it feels like you're they say that his stuff was sexual, but it wasn't, and they banned him permanently. And I've been hit with the same thing a lot, like whenever I was streaming and doing my 3D stuff, I'd get hit with like sexual content warnings a lot, and so that's why I'm like primarily on YouTube now. Because modeling characters from scratch like this would be considered like sexual content or whatever, and I didn't want to risk a permaban on my main Twitch account, so I kind of just just do art on YouTube exclusively now. Because I already had a 3D band when I was working on who was it that I was working on that I got 3D band on? I think it was Zero. Yeah, I think I was working on Zero from Drakengard, and I got a 3D ban on Twitch. And I was like, okay, ban, you know? I thought I was just gonna be like a normal slap on the wrist. You know how it is. You know how Twitch is. You get banned on Twitch. They usually come back like 3 or 4 days later. I just call it a vacation. But they started handing out permas to artists and stuff like that. So I was like, oh shit, I'm not trying to catch a perma. So I was like, you know what? For now on, I'm just gonna do art in the mornings on YouTube. And because YouTube is a lot more, as you say, a lot more lenient. And the most they do is like, if you get flagged for something, a lot of times they'll just demonetize you, you know? So it's like, oh, I just got demonetized. Okay, cool. For that one video or whatever, that one video got demonetized. Very rarely do you see people actually get banned from YouTube. The only thing you have to worry about on the YouTube side is music. That's like the biggest thing that they harp about on the YouTube side, is just what music you're listening to. But I found listening to like video game music, which is what I'm listening to right now, it's typically safe, especially if it's like, I play a lot of Final Fantasy, Persona. That's the music that's really on loop right now in my stream, and a lot of it is safe, copyright free, a lot of the video game music from that. While as in Twitch, you could pretty much play any song you want, you know? That's the only thing YouTube is like super strict about, is music. I heard about that guy. That's why I'm not worried about sculpting too much on YouTube. Now, will I go the extreme of doing like, well, I wouldn't really call it extreme, because, you know, art is art, and it really just depends on how you look at it. Some people might see it as sexual, some people might not, you know? But it's like, if I was to do like a full sculpt of a character or a model ever, and I actually add in like nipples and genitals and stuff like that, I feel like YouTube would be kind of fine. I did look up like base mesh videos on YouTube just to see exactly what people are doing here, and for the gist of it, looks like if I wanted to do like an anatomy type study or anything like that, I should be fine, but don't really push it, you know? I'll just do anatomy studies and stuff like that offline. If I hit that route. So at least I know that I can make something like the equivalent of like a Barbie doll and be perfectly fine, or a Ken doll where it's just flat, and I'll be fine, and I won't get flagged for it. It really is. Just make sure that the video game music that you have on blast isn't made from like an actual band, because that can flag you on YouTube. Like I would be listening to like Death Stranding on here too, but a lot of the songs on Death Stranding are like actual real artists and stuff, like Low Roar and Bring Me to Horizon and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be able to listen to the Death Stranding soundtrack because that's like actual artists. Even if some of the artists made songs specifically for the game, the fact that it is a well-known artist, it's gonna be copyrighted. I couldn't listen to the Kingdom Hearts intro because that's actually a well-known artist and that's copyrighted. I found a lot of the Final Fantasy stuff is pretty safe. Oh yeah. And then they had the adpocalypse because the music industry was like, yo, you need to do something about copyrighted music and stuff. And it kind of hit the ads and that hit their money, and then they had to be a lot more stricter about their about the content on the platform. It's mostly copyrighted sounds. That's anything more anything. YouTube was losing money because of the apocalypse, so they had to do something about the copyright music so that way they can get their ads back, start making money again. Oh yeah, I mean you still kind of can, but those are the rough days too. I'm not gonna lie, watching anime on YouTube back in the day was like, you had to watch it in parts, and sometimes it was like a little square in the corner at like 320p. Like it was like they put like the video in a little square in the corner, and then the rest of the screen was like a still image. And it was like you were looking through like a fucking microscope to watch anime back in the day. So I remember those days. I used to watch anime like that. At least some shows like that, because it was the only place you can really find anime. I remember those days. Would I ever want to go back to those days? Hell no. I got the sites that I go to watch anime on. I'm happy, you know. I never forget where I started, you know. Stay humble. Speaking of which, I saw that Netflix is increasing its prices again. I'm like, man, I'm glad I don't pay for like no Netflix. I'm sorry, but I'm living that pirate life when it comes to watching shows, because they cannot justify increasing the prices over and over again and then not even releasing any show. Like, there'll be like maybe 1 or 2 bangers a year. Like right now, the new Castlevania is out, so I need to watch that. But other than that, there's like nothing really else. It really is. But I'm living that pirate life. I don't give a fuck. It really does. My biggest issue is they're raising prices. There's like 50 different subscription services out there. It's like, oh, you want to watch this show? Okay, go ahead and subscribe to this platform. You can watch it here, you know? And it's like, oh, you want to watch this show? Oh, that's on a different one. You're gonna have to subscribe to this platform if you want to watch that. Sorry. Oh, you want to watch this show? Oh yeah, you have to get the plus version of this, and it's sold separately. Like, you know how Hulu has like stars and a bunch of other stuff all mixed in there. You have to pay extra to unlock that portion. And it's like, bro, they just nickel and diming you by the minute. And then my issues with like Crunchyroll is like, oh, a show is being people don't like a show because of something that happened in it. Okay, we're just gonna remove the show entirely and make it invisible to everyone, because we're gonna let the people decide what gets aired and not aired. It was really like that for Goblin Slayer. A lot of people were trying to cancel Goblin Slayer back when it first came out. But it was like they were making the goblins to where, you know, you don't feel sorry for him when he's brutally murdering them for what they do. What am I doing right now? There you go. Oh, they did? I didn't know that. I don't really keep too. Have I ever played 16? I have. I actually have 16 on my PS5. I didn't complete it though. I need to go back and actually finish the game. Call myself a big Final Fantasy fan and haven't completed 16. I own it. I played half of it and I haven't played it since, but not because I'm like, oh, that game sucked or anything. It's mostly because I just felt like I don't have time, you know? Because it came out around the same time that I was trying to focus on my art and improve. So I had to pick my my priorities. And I kind of just forgot it because I need to play I need to buy and play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth too, which is another game that's on my, because I have the games that I need to get and finish playing or just play in general that I really want to play is the Persona 3 Reload. I'm not really in a rush to play it because I played the Persona 3 on like the PSP and stuff like that as a kid. But I do want to play Reload. I do want to play Rebirth, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I have Metaphor Refantasio, which I only finished like the first dungeon. I need to sit down and actually play the full game. And I also want to finish in Final Fantasy 16. But I also feel like I never really have time to play some of the games because I love JRPGs, don't get me wrong. But I found that streaming JRPGs don't really do too well. And also like horror games. So I mostly stream horror games now on my main Twitch account, which I'll be doing tonight at around 6 p.m. CST on my main Twitch. You can catch me there. You can also catch me on my gaming YouTube channel, just Nick Altius, where I'll also be streaming there too. But my evenings are streaming games. And I'm mainly focused on like horror games and stuff like that. So my schedule is pretty packed, honestly. Monday through Wednesday, I wake up, I stream art, I go to work, I stream horror games or whatever in the evening after work from like 6 to 9 or whatever. And I do that Monday through Wednesday. And then Thursday, Friday, I wake up, I edit whatever I need to edit, I go to work, and then I chill for the rest of the day. So I guess I could play there and then, but most of the time I'm hanging out with friends on Thursday and Friday in the evenings after I finish work. So it's a vicious cycle. Could I make some sacrifices to free up some more time? I probably could, honestly. I most definitely could. Yeah, see, you get it. It really is. I feel like it really is. I'm glad that I really started to buckle down, and because this all started like last year. I went from making stuff like this. I'll show you like from last year to now. Let me I'm gonna name this one Head Practice. So I kind of like this head, I'm not gonna lie. I think I might do heads like this in the future. We'll see. Still some stuff that I want to do on it. Oh, thank you, thank you. That's my VTuber, my gaming channel. I use a VTuber. I'm a VTuber. Smaller hitbox enthusiast. On my art channel, obviously, here I am in the flesh, you know. But I can show you some. So I really started to sit down and like actually sculpt back in 2023. And I did here you go. This is a good one. This was on the release of Honkai Star Rail. They had an art contest. And I started off like stuff like this. It was like the earlier stuff. I'm like, don't really like it. Don't like how I did the eyes. Nose is all right. That's a big ass nose. But then as time progressed, I got into the Akali that I made. This is when I really started to cut out the eyes. The beginning of the eye cutout. This is the Akali sculpt that I made. Back in 2023. Same deal with the face. This is when I started to experiment more with the eyes than anything else and try to figure out what I want to do for the face. Where is so yeah, this you can tell the body was like all types of messed up. Well, actually I think I went back and kind of fixed it. Yeah, I kind of fixed it. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah, not as bad as I thought it would be. Because normally the body is like all types of messed up because I had the clothes on it, so I'm like, it doesn't matter, the clothes are over it, so it's not too bad, you know. Like something like that, like if I was to do this on Twitch, I'd be like, oh, look at the body. If I would do this on Twitch, boom, ban instantly. But here on YouTube I can actually kind of show the base of the body because I like to start from like the actual body itself and then I make the clothes and stuff like that on top of it. But this is the Akali I made back in 2023. And yeah, pretty much get practice in too. And then 2024 was when I like really sat down and I was like, all right, I'm gonna be working in just Zbrush because I was doing both Blender and Zbrush in 2023. So that's why I can't show you everything I made because some of the stuff was made in Blender. And then some of the stuff was made in Zbrush. I was kind of jumping back and forth. But then in 2024, I was like, that was when I started streaming consistently, 3 days a week, Monday through Wednesday. I posted some before and afters before on like my Twitter and everything like that. And then I made this in 2024. Where I was still kind of experimenting, figuring out what I wanted to do. You can tell the nose I'm starting to kind of get there. Spice and Wolf. The coloring is a little bit not to my liking, but I was like, I figured out what I want to do for like the material. So this is a lot older material. Still trying to figure out hair. Wasn't entirely happy with this head though, but the eyes, I started to cut out the eyes a little bit differently using a sphere and a cylinder. Now I just use cylinders to cut out the eyes, but I really like the eye cutout thing. I saw it in like there was like a clay sculpt of Link on YouTube, and I watched that video and I liked how they made the Link's eyes in that one. So I kind of like do that with my models now, where I make the indent of the eyes. And then I did is this ready? Let me see. This might blow up my computer, because I always pick the wrong one. One of them is like really high and the other one's like low, and then either way the computer's gonna catch fire. I actually do plan on doing some different eyebrows, where I actually like sculpt it a little bit instead of just the normal mask and extract and then moving it that way. I do kind of want to like add more details into the eyebrows, but this one's actually, oh yeah, I was cutting this one for printing, but this was the Chimera Fallon I made last year. Never again will I sit here and individually make each and every single feather like I did for this. It doesn't have color on it anymore because of the oh no, it does. It just doesn't have it all the way through anymore, because I was mostly worried about it lost a lot of it because I was cutting it. See, I was making it so that way I can print it. I never finished cutting it up so I can print. Not long. I just made a feather brush and then I used that. It's just that the feathers were so heavy, it was causing the computer to slow down. But I brought it down. See, each and every feather, it's only like has its own like polygons, so it was making the project a lot heavier than it should be. So right now it's sitting at 24 million. And normally the stuff that I make is around like 10 million, if that. Sometimes maybe even 12. This is 25. This is about 25 million polys. Your computer's catching fire if I export this, you know? You don't want that. I haven't decimated. Wait, did I not? Oh, I decimated it. No, I didn't decimate this yet. It'll be lower once I decimate it. But yeah, this was the... And the funny thing is, I didn't realize until recently that last year was the year of the dragon. So I ended up making a chimera and she's fused with a red dragon. So I got to keep it going. I'm going to be making another big sculpt like this in March. It's going to be for a year to snake. I think I'm going to make Ibuki Doji in ruler form with the snake body. 4 arms, snake body. It's gonna be really big. My GPU, I have a 2080 Ti. I have a February. I'm doing a cat girl for the Gas Minis cat girl challenge. His challenges, you got 24 hours, the span of 24 hours. You don't have to do it all in one 24-hour sitting, but for the month of February you have to make a thing that roughly comes out to 24 hours. And the goal is to make a cat girl that's 3D printable 24 hours, which is about the same. If I do the math of all my streams, 3 hours, I'm hitting around the 24 to 30 hour mark. So normally, like for my sculpts, it takes me like a month to do. 3 hours a day, 3 days a week. So I'm usually hitting around 24 to 30 hours for a complete sculpt. So I'll be able to hit the 24-hour cat girl in a month easy. So we have Fallon. I have the I was working on this one, but I never finished it. I need to actually go back and finish this. This was last year. I actually was doing this in November, I believe. I was making a D Killer Wife from Nikkei, and I'm almost done. This one I used different body proportions. I used the super hero proportions or supermodel, whatever you want to call it, where it's like 9 heads tall, where the legs are a lot longer. And I was sculpting this. I just need to make her gun, and then she's about done, you know. I do have some Final Fantasy characters, but they were made in Blender, and those are like my old ones. You can find those on like I think you still should be able to see it on my YouTube channel, because I streamed some of it. So I did Yuffie, and I also did Fang from Final Fantasy 13. Yuffie from 7 and Fang from 13. I think it's on my YouTube channel. You have to like go back in time on that one. If you go to past my main channel, click on past broadcasts and scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see the Fang one. The Yuffie one I don't have on here because I didn't stream at that time, but the Fang is on here. I also did Galio, but I never finished Galio. No, I finished him. I just never posed him because I wasn't good at posing. That was like 3 years ago, and that was in Blender. I will go back and make some more Final Fantasy characters in the future. And we also have the monster girl that I made in October of last year. This is based off a concept made by a friend, City Bell. This one, the speed sculpt, is available on my YouTube. If you want to watch the process of how I made this, it's on YouTube already. And this is when I really started to change how I do noses. Kind of like this nose setup that I have here. And we have Zero. I finished in December. This is what I finished in December. Oh yeah, you can definitely tell the progress. That has happened over years. What I do is, what helps me kind of improve in a way is I will choose something that's kind of like challenging for my next one, but will have me learn something new. And that'll be like my main focus. Like for this one, it was more of doing more hard surfaces. So the arm was the challenge for this one, making this prosthetic arm. and this was more of learning how to do more hard surface modeling than the initial stuff. This is using like a Z modeler and stuff like that. So I usually just pick something that I'm like, what am I struggling with, or what do I really want to learn, and then I'll apply it to the next model, and that'll become like my main focus. And I just take what I learned from that one and I apply it to the next one, and we just slowly implement more and more stuff as time progresses. And now we're back in 2025. This is the one that I did yesterday. I did this yesterday. I was just practicing sculpting without using symmetry. In the 3 hours, it was just like a quick speed sculpt of a torso in 3 hours using no symmetry. This is yesterday's practice sculpt. This was January. I finished this one. This is what I'm editing right now, so that way I can put the video up on YouTube. I have it rendered. I usually bring this stuff over into Marmoset and then I render it there. But this is the one that I'm editing. I'll have it on YouTube eventually. Of the speed sculpt, I'm making this for the month of January. Psylocke from Marvel. And now we're back to where we are now. Just vibing. Vibing and doing some little practices here. I think I'm a fan of I'm like in that debate on if I want to do like lips like this, where you have the upper and lower lip more defined, or if I want to keep doing what I did for Psylocke, where the lip is not as defined. Where it's like a thinner upper lip. I think I kind of like the thinner upper lip more. Definitely kind of like the nose more, the way that I have nose on her too. Where it's like a small indent, but it's not a full indent. We'll see. Yeah. That's what I was thinking too, because I kind of like what I got going on now too. I still got to figure out how I want to do it. That's what I was thinking. That's what I kind of like, the because it gives it more of that that anime figure type style than a so I kind of want to still hit the what it looks like as an anime figure, but I don't want it to be like exactly like that. And I know a lot of anime figures, when it comes to making anime figure mouths, it's pretty much just a line that's straight across, you know? It's a line, and then there you go. That's the anime mouth that you get in a lot of figures. Yeah, it really depends on the demographic too. But I think at the end of the day, it's also based on, you want to make something that you enjoy making too, because one, you got to make it, and two, there's gonna be people out there that's gonna like how you make things anyway. Like there's people that enjoy artists that just make like doodles, you know, nothing too complex, just straight doodles. Like there's people out there that like your stuff. So just make it something that you enjoy making, and then eventually they will come. If you make it, they will come. That's Angels in the Outfield movie. Classic. I think that was from that movie. Was it that movie, or was it the... was it Sandlot or something like that? I can't remember. Let me see. No, it's from Field of Dreams. There we go. If you make it, that's 1989. I'm not that old. Holy shit. I'm 91. But that movie was like 89, so it was played a lot as a kid. It really is. The polygons on Cloud's eyelashes. Yeah. Looking at a lot of the newer games and stuff like that, the poly count in those games are really high. Because we have the technology to handle that kind of stuff nowadays, you know? They like the thinner. I think I kind of like this in a way. But the joys of being able to just mess around. When you're not working on a project, just mess around and experiment with your style a little bit. This is kind of reverting back to how I used to do lips when I initially started making stuff. And then as time progressed, I stopped doing lips as the way that I do it now. There's something that let's see. It's the nose. Let me... I'm looking at like a reference image of another... I like the way that another artist made their nose in a way. And I'm kind of trying to see if I can get it to that. I think I kind of like the way that the lips are now too, honestly. I might do the lips like this for now on. No. Since it's made for printing, I gotta think more about how it looks whenever you print it. And if I do add like a clear sphere over the top of it, you're not gonna really see anything when it gets printed, you know? Now what I could do is just make another piece that whenever you print it, it like pops in there and it's like a clear piece, but that's like, you know, adding more to what people have to print. So now people have to take this separate piece and print it clear, so that way they can pop it into the eye to make the eye fully symmetrical. Not symmetrical, but a cylinder, round. Because mainly it's like, what will this look like when it gets printed? It'll mainly look like this when it gets printed. And you can see like the shapes and the grooves and stuff like that in there. And then after they paint it, it'll look like, you know, roughly like this. But obviously I don't have this painted yet, but I gotta think more of how does it look whenever it gets printed on a gray scale. Because whenever you print stuff, it's typically gray resin or whatever. So if I was to print this, it'll look like this on a grayscale on resin. So they'll be able to still see kind of like the details on here depending on the resolution of their printer and whatnot. But for the most part, these etches should get in there whenever you resin print it. I have a resin printer. It's in the bathroom. It's like in the bathroom that's behind me. So I have two bathrooms. So I'm like, I don't really need the second one. So it's just a 3D printer room. So I can test print my stuff before I put it up for a possible sale. So that's the end game. I want to make 3D printable stuff that people can print and paint and have a nice little collection on their shelf. I really need to make the Psylocke 3D printable and then put that up for sale. I usually sell my figures on like I only have like 2 figures up for sale. That's from last year. I haven't updated it or added any more. I really need to do that, but I'm thinking like roughly $10 is fine, you know, for the STL file. So you'll be able to buy the STL file for like $10 off of my thing and then print it off yourself. It's like $10 to $12. I will make like a commercial license at some point on like a Patreon. So that way if you want to resell the physical copies of my 3D models, then you'll be able to do that. But you'll have to be like subscribed to my Patreon to resell. So that way, you know, Because I personally don't want to print a bunch of orders and mail it off to people, or print a bunch of orders and paint them and put them together and mail them off. Because I'd rather just focus on just 3D modeling stuff, putting a file out there, and then giving people the option to basically start their own or continue their own business of printing stuff and selling it. So they'll be able to like take my models and print it and then sell the physical copies, not the digital file. That's kind of like the, I keep doing that. The end goal is just to make STL files and then have other people that want to sell my stuff subscribe to a Patreon. They can sell physical copies of my 3D prints that they printed themselves and painted if they wish to paint it, or just sell on garage kits. So I mostly just have a 3D printer just to test print stuff, and if it prints properly, then I'll put it up for sale. So at least I know that it prints properly. I'm not gonna put something up for sale and I don't even know if it prints properly, you know? That's bad business practice right there. But at least if I can print it and it comes out fine and someone runs into an issue, I know it's not a me thing, it's definitely a them thing. Because it's like, hey, I test printed this like 3 times and it came out perfectly fine. I think you might want to check your printer. You know, that kind of stuff. Instead of being like, oh, yeah, what was the issue? I'll go back and try to change it and fix it. Instead, I already did all the trial and errors because I physically printed it myself. And I kept fixing it until it came out perfect, you know? Damn, look at that. That is high as fuck. All right, this is too high. So now I'm gonna get into the I'm gonna retopologize it, lower it down. Oh, fuck. I wasn't supposed to do that yet. But anyway, this is just a good example of, see, I made this into low poly. And then I can get all the details back. Boom. All details back. So I went from this. And boom. Like that. I got a little ahead of myself, not gonna lie. There's something else that I need to do. So I quickly make the ears. All right, I appreciate you stopping by, and if you always have any questions, I'm always open to answer them. I'm mostly just wrapping up for today, so I'll be ending in like a minute or two from now, because it's about time for me to start getting ready for the old works. I'm just finishing up these ears, and I'll pretty much should be oh yeah, almost done. I appreciate that. I'm pretty consistent when it comes to streaming, so I know I won't be here tomorrow, but I'm always gonna be live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the morning from like 10 a.m. CST for sure. And for my gaming channel, I'll be on there tonight. Nix Altius. Twitch TV/Nix Altius. Nix_Altius. I'll be streaming some horror games tonight on there. And then I'll be gone for 4 days, and I'll be back on Monday and do it all over again. That's how I live my life. That's how I roll. Hell yeah. So I'll pretty much see you on Wednesdays for sure then. If anything. So I don't stream on the weekends. Hell yeah. Oh, and I actually see you followed the right channel. I looked over at my OBS and I saw that you followed me on the correct Twitch channel. So I use the same OBS for my Twitch on my main, because I have a 2 computer setup. So the OBS on the computer that I'm using right now to do art and stuff like that, that's what I'm using to project over to my laptop, which is the streaming PC. So I have like all my notifs and the bar and the chat window and stuff like that on my main PC on the second monitor, because doing Zbrush and streaming at the same time takes a lot of processing power sometimes. So I have a laptop that handles all the streaming while my main computer handles all the gaming and the art stuff. Keep things smooth. And it's just connected through a capture card. There we go. Sculpting. I don't know. The thing is, I have if you're really trying to do something on the go, like sculpting wise, and you don't mind spending a little money, I would recommend, like, if you're just trying to focus on just sculpting in general, I have one and I love it, and I mostly just use it whenever I'm like traveling and stuff like that. I don't use a laptop, I use the iPad, and I just use Nomad Sculpt, which is like $15, and I sculpt on that on my iPad, so I can sculpt on the go if I want. But recently Zbrush, like earlier this year or late last year or something like that, they did release Zbrush for the iPad, and it's only like $10-15 a month, which I don't think is too bad, you know, for all you get. And it's pretty much this software that I'm using now on the iPad for $15, and it has like a majority of the same stuff that you would need to do it. But that's if you have the money and you're actually like your main focus is sculpting, then yeah, I would probably do I'd probably do an iPad and then look between either using Nomad Sculpt for $15 or do the subscription for the $10 or $15 for ZBrush for the iPad. It does not, surprisingly. I did test them both out. When I went to Japan last year in March, I used Nomad, and I was on the plane. That's what I was sculpting with on the plane. And on like the trains and stuff like that, between the 3-hour train rides or whatever, I had an iPad and I was able to sculpt, and it did not run hot at all. That's what I would personally recommend for sculpting on the go, is just get an iPad, which is actually really big for me to say, because I don't like Apple products. I despise Apple products. I have an Android. I hate Macs. I hate iPhones. I hate everything iPad. But well, not everything iPad. I love my iPad. I just got it last year and I love it. It's the 2022 or 2023. I don't remember which one it was. I think it says it on the back. 1 second. I can go get it. It's on the floor behind me. 1 second. We'll go look. Let me go grab it. I don't know. I don't even tell. I don't know anything about iPads, I'm gonna be honest. This is like my first and only iPad that I've ever had. I mainly just got it for sculpting. iPad Pro. Guess I have to turn it on. Is it charged? So I haven't used it in a while. I literally. Yeah, how's it going? Oh, it's charged. Cool. I literally only used it every blue moon because if I'm at home, I just use my computer, you know? So let's see. All right, let me go to my settings here. How's it going, Trunk? Welcome on in. I really do need to use my iPad more. Like, why did I spend? Well, I didn't spend any money on my iPad. I used my my credit card points to buy me an iPad, pretty much for free. Using my points. Where's the? Oh, I put it in here. Backward, upside down. That's why. It is, but let me see. It's a 6th gen. iPad Pro, 12.9 inches, 6th generation. I work from home. So I'm still at my computer even when I work from home. The very computer that I'm sitting at is where I work from. I stream from here and I work from here. But yeah, it's a 6th gen iPad Pro, 13 inches. I'd recommend it. It does and I got the Apple Pencil. It does everything I needed to do. It's great for whenever I need to travel. I got a little case for it. Also got like a little keyboard and everything like that. I wouldn't really be able to tell you, because my knowledge when it comes to Apple products is non-existent. I'm gonna be honest, because like I said, I'm not a big Apple person. This is literally the only Apple product that I own, and it's for sculpting, and other than that, I don't use it. I got it for free using my points on my credit card, so it's not like I'm entirely wasting money, I guess. So I got the iPad, and I literally only got the iPad because I was like, man, I'm gonna be sitting on a 20-hour flight and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't feel like playing my Switch all 20 hours. So I was like, maybe I want to get an iPad. So I was like, maybe I want to do something to sculpt on the go, like actually work on my art on the go. And so I did some research and I came down to just getting the iPad because it's easy to carry. It can just sculpt. And that's literally what I got it for. It doesn't do anything else but sculpt. It's like that meme from Rick and Morty where that robot comes up and he's like, what is my purpose? And then I look at it, it's like, your purpose is to sculpt. That is it. Nothing else. I don't play games on it. I don't use it for web browsing. I don't use it for anything other than open it up, sculpting. Other than that, it's collecting dust. That is its purpose in life. I'm not a big Apple person. Literally just got it for one thing and one thing only. I'll use it again in October because I did buy me plane tickets to go back to Japan in October. So it's gonna get its work in again for another 20 hours in October, and then it'll go back to collecting dust, which it literally had dust on it when I picked it up to figure out the model. It's practically brand new because as soon as I pulled it out the box, I put the screen protector on it and I put it in a case, and then I tossed it in a corner. I go like yearly. My first time was last year in March. I was there for 2 weeks, and then I'm going again in October for another 2 weeks, and then I'll go again next year. That's like my my thing now. I go to Japan yearly now, and I look at all the figurines and I get filled with inspiration to keep sculpting. Honestly, I like this. I like the way that I made the head. I think I might make future heads like this. Yeah, I'm a fan. I just save up. I don't really do much. I live by myself. I don't party. I don't go clubbing or anything like that. I mostly just keep to myself. I cook. I do my own thing. I don't spend money unnecessarily. The most things I spend money on is the food, my rent, obviously, and video games. Which even then I don't really buy too many video games. But other than that, my paychecks I split. Like I have 3 bank accounts. I just split it 3 ways. One bank account is literally just for all my bills. Another one is for like fun, and another one's like I save up, and that's what I use for like going to Japan and all that other stuff. I just do a lot of budgeting. I budget like there's no tomorrow. But it is about that time. I gotta get ready to go to work. I already showered and worked out this morning, so I just need to go get me something to eat and then go to work. I don't know anyone in Japan. I just go by myself, sightseeing. Yeah, I just go by myself. This year I'm actually going with friends though. Last year I went by myself. This year I'm going with friends and family. And we'll see what next year comes. I don't think anyone will want to come next year because it'll be like, I think I'm gonna go around the summer or maybe October again. So I know a lot of other people, you know, it takes time to save up money. And I'm pretty sure they're not gonna want to jump on going to Japan again 6 months later. 6 months to a year later. So we'll see. I mean, if they're more than welcome to come if they want to, but I don't think they'll want to come that fast. That's what she said. But yeah, I'm gonna be heading out for today. I gotta go get me some food and figure out life. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe the channel and the video, the stream means a lot to me. I'll be back Monday, and we're doing all that great stuff, you know. My channel's actually been growing. I really love it. I'm seeing a lot more people. I appreciate everyone that comes by. I appreciate y'all checking me out, enjoying the stuff. I started off last year with only like what 80 subscribers or whatever, and now we're almost about to hit 300. So it means a lot. Makes me happy to see that people are enjoying it. It makes me want to keep doing it, you know. Like I see people are actually enjoying my art streams and stuff like that, so I just want to keep doing it. It definitely should. It's only like $10, you know. Give it a try, see if you like it. If you don't, then use Nomad. Nomad is like $15 one-time pay. That's what I have on my iPad right now, is Nomad Sculpt. It's really good. I enjoyed it. It's what I used when I went to Japan and everything like that, because Zbrush for the iPad didn't come out until like December, not December, around December, January of this year. So I got no complaints about Zbrush yet on the iPad because I haven't really got to test it. I more like, oh, they got Zbrush on iPad. Okay, I subscribed for a month. I tried it out for like a day or two, and then I unsubscribed because obviously I'm not using my iPad. I just wanted to see how it worked. It works exactly the same as the Zbrush for the PC, just a little bit lighter, of course. But I feel like that if you work in Zbrush on the iPad and you decide to get Zbrush on the PC, it's gonna be like easy transition for sure, because a lot of the buttons are all the same. So I like it. I wouldn't buy a subscription for Zbrush on the PC, but I'll do a subscription for Zbrush on the iPad. But yeah, I'm gonna head out now. Appreciate everything that came out today. Hope to see y'all again Monday. We'll be going live 10 a.m. CST to 1 p.m. CST, Monday through Wednesday. Y'all have a wonderful day. I'm Nix, and I'll be signing out. Yeah, you can do it on your lunch breaks and get better and, you know, progress and grow. I need to do it, but I got it. Have a good one. Bye.